people like me. You need people like me so you can point your fingers and say, that's the bad guy. That's the bad guy. That's the bad guy. That's the bad guy. That's the bad guy.
Welcome to the mother relay. We're covering today's top boxing news.
Okay, we'll start with this. Jose Rayo Valenzuela will defend his WBA super lightweight world title versus Gary Antoine Russell on the Gervonta Davis versus Lamont Roach undercard on March 1st in New York. They made it official today as questions were starting to rise as to who's going to be on Gervonta Davis's undercard, because the fight, it's only really a few weeks out and we still don't have much in terms of undercard information. But now we have this.
Stupid move.
Never mind that Gary Antoine Russell is still coming off that loss to Alberto Puello. He hasn't fought since then.
What has he done to earn a title shot?
WBA ain't got no standards and Rayo ain't got no common sense. As a newly crowned champion, you know you could have parlayed that into a unification match. Perhaps with a Teofimo on a Turkey El Al Sheikh show.
That's where he won the WBA title on Turkey's show in last August.
Gary's not as mandatory. He's under no obligation to fight him. He's doing this willingly, and he might lose. Because Gary, unlike Isaac Cruz, who he won the belt from, Gary is a full 140-pounder, a bona fide 140-pounder, not a smaller guy that moved up.
He already got knocked out by Edwin De Los Santos at 135. What's this guy gonna do to you?
Edwin stopped him in 3 rounds. How long do you think it'll take Gary to do it?
You want to defend your title against him voluntarily, likely for short money. Shorter money than you could have made boxing on one of Turkey's shows against Teofimo.
Why do you keep mentioning Teofimo?
Because Teofimo's in bed with Turkey now, and Teofimo's gunning for a unification match at this weight. Unexpected, I know. It didn't look like he wanted to unify with anybody, but apparently he's going to.
Could have been Rayo. Could have been.
He ain't got no common sense, and the WBA ain't got no standards. So I remember way back when Ishmael Barroso knocked out O'Hara Davies for mandatory status.
He beat him for it. Then Andy Hirioka beat him for it.
Beat Ishmael.
That was 5 months ago, in September of last year, and I'm just wondering, at what point does the WBA call a mandatory? You didn't call it when O'Hara was the mandatory, when Ishmael became the mandatory. You're not calling it now that Andy's the mandatory. At what point do you do your job?
Still doing the PBC favors?
So I look at it. If you've held off on calling the mandatory for all this time, it's on purpose. It's because you don't want to bog their fighter down with a pesky old mandatory. Some guy that's on some other side of the street putting their fighter on a spot.
Andy's based out of Japan.
Pretty sure he wants his title shot. I remember, immediately after he beat Ishmael, he called out Rayo. Called him out in vain. Gary Antoine Russell is getting the opportunity that should be going to Andy, in keeping with the PBC's tradition of rewarding fighters that are coming off of losses.
Huh?
They're backwards over there. They save all their world title opportunities for the guys that are coming off of losses, not wins.
Huh?
Sebastian Fundora was coming off a loss when he got a title shot at Tim Tszyu. Then Sebastian was going to give a title shot to Errol Spence Jr.,
who was coming off a loss to Terrence Crawford.
Gary Russell is coming off a loss to Alberto Puello, and for that, he's getting a title shot.
Backwards.
Ass backwards. That's how they do things over there, and that's likely why they find themselves in the situation that they are in.
Rayo's gonna lose that belt.
Too bad. So sad that he didn't parlay becoming a world champion into a big price, a big payday. Maybe he would have lost to Teofimo if he would have fought him on one of Turkey's shows, but he likely still would have made more money than he's about to make losing to Gary.
Because he is gonna lose. That's how I have that fight. Gary's gonna knock him out.
Yeah, Turkey mentioned you in a tweet that he hopes that you're gonna face Boots.
Yes.
And then the winner faces maybe the winner of Ryan and Devin.
That's what it's looking like, yeah. So we're looking forward to it. You know, it's all about the best fighting the best. And, you know, listen, I think, yeah, man, we're here to be strong, like LA.
What do you make of that Boots fight? Like, how close are we to it?
The only thing now is just us winning our next fights.
Yeah.
That's it. That's as close as it's gonna get until then.
So you're having a fight before
Yeah.
the Boots fight.
Yes, I
You
am.
at 140 or 47?
At 140, and then we go to 47.
How do you, do you know who it's going to be? Is it like singled down to someone?
Well, we're talking right now, Richardson Hitchins. We're gonna unify.
Oh, no way.
Yeah.
That's a good fight, bro.
Yeah. So 2 world title fights lined up, and then, the
I'm
prize
excited,
fight.
man.
This is like from
When do you think that fight's going to happen with Richard Tail?
Man, stay tuned. That's all I can say.
What do you think, like what, May?
Very soon, very soon. That's the beauty about it. We're gonna get everything done. So the whole goal is just getting everything done right now and finalized, and that my legal team is doing a great job. So that's it, really.
So I guess I owe Teofimo Lopez an apology. Oh, I still think he's a dickbag. A cringe-worthy dickbag who fancies himself a philosopher. But this sequence of fights, if he's really gonna do it, a unification match with Richardson Hitchins, then a move upstairs to 147 for Boots Ennis.
No complaints here. I like that run of fights.
Though I can't help but think that it is somewhat ill-advised. Stylistically, Richardson Hitchins brings to the table a lot of the things that Teofimo struggles with. He's a taller fighter, he's a longer fighter, he's a pure boxer, and he's a mover. These are all the things that Teofimo struggles with.
All the stuff that gives him problems. Like Sandor Martin's movement, Jermaine Ortiz's movement, Jermaine Ortiz's height.
Richardson Hitchins can make himself a hard target, a hard guy to track down, pin down, hard guy to hit.
Could ruin your plans.
Say that Teofimo Lopez is being trained by Eddie Reynoso now, but Eddie's not a miracle worker, you understand. I don't expect dramatic improvements, dramatic changes in Teofimo as a fighter after just one fight camp. It usually takes a few before stuff starts to settle in, whatever it is you're working on.
What does he need to?
Applying pressure. That's what he struggles with. Hanging back, setting traps, and working off the counter, he's all right. But coming forward, he's not as creative, he's not as defensible.
Effective.
Now you could stand to learn a lot from Eddie Reynoso and Canelo Alvarez, who much like Teofimo, is small for his weight. But Canelo has all the experience.
The know-how.
Canelo doesn't struggle with taller fighters the way that Teofimo does. At 168, everybody's taller than he is. And pinning a guy down, Canelo's actually good at that. Tracking down a moving target, whether you're talking about Caleb Plant or Billy Joe, more recently Jermel Charlo.
Oh, I know that years ago he struggled with Erislandy Lara's movement, but that was a long time ago. He's added quite a bit to his toolbox since then, to where he don't struggle with movers like he used to. Teofimo does.
Richardson Hitchins might spoil his plans. So Boots Ennis is said to be closing in on an Amantis Stanionis fight per Mike Kopinger. They're closing in on a deal for a welterweight title unification bout that would take place in April of this year on a Matchroom show.
Stanionis finally wised up.
So if the end game for Teofimo Lopez is to unify titles and then move up to 147 to fight Jaron Ennis, you shouldn't be fighting Richardson Hitchins. You should be fighting Mario Barrios. What are you going to unify titles at 140 pounds for just to move up the very next fight? Doesn't make sense. If you fight Barrios next, you can bring that green belt to the Boots fight.
Barrios was in talks to fight Conor Ben if things didn't work out between Ben and Chris Eubank, but things did work out. They're gonna fight. Now Mario's left without a dance partner.
Teofimo should be fighting Mario.
Stylistically, it's a better fight for Teofimo than the Richardson Hitchins fight. Hitchins is gonna move on you, try to keep you at arm's length, whereas Mario, even though he's taller, he's gonna bring the fight to you, try and exchange with you.
God bless him, because he's got a great work ethic and a lot of heart, Mario does. But he ain't that good a boxer, he's just not. And for a counterpuncher like Teofimo, that's a better fight than this one is. Stylistically, it's a better fight for you, and situation-wise, because if you're really trying to fight Boots at the end of this year, then you should get at least one fight in as a welterweight. With Mario, you can do that and become a champion at a third weight at the same time.
Still a title on the line.
They haven't thought this through, and I won't begrudge Teofimo his ambition, if that's what this really is. Hitchins, then Boots? That's ambitious.
This kid's alright when he's not talking.
Well, it's a problem with too many of these American boxers. They spend too much time on the couch talking and tweeting instead of fighting. So if he's gonna fight these guys, that's all right. But it is ill-advised.
I think he should reroute his trajectory, change course, fight Mario. Do what you gotta do to get Mario in the ring. It's me, Mario.
I think Boots is going to beat Stanionis. I think he's going to make it past him, unify those two Alphabet titles. There was some pressure put on Boots, who rejected a fight with Teofimo, and he rejected a fight with Virgil Ortiz at 154 because he said he wants to unify his division. Now it looks like he's going to.
Good.
Falling face first into a high-profile fight. Yeah, a Lopez fight is a high-profile fight at 147. If Teofimo can make it to you.
East Coast fighters.
They both are. Boots and Teofimo. Boots is from Philly. Teofimo says he's from New York, but he's really from Florida. All the same, that's still a East Coast.
What do you think Teofimo's chances against Boots are?
It's still very early. Don't want to put the cart before the horse. But based on what we've seen so far, Teofimo's power, his punching power, at 140 wasn't what it was at 135.
At 140.
So at 147, I don't expect him to punch harder. You have to look at these fighters that are moving up in weight on a case-by-case basis. Teofimo was not a big guy at 140. He won't be a big guy at 147, but Boots is.
He's a big 147.
He's got his drawbacks, Boots. He's got his flaws, but so does Teofimo.
He's no Pernell Whitaker, this kid.
Boots ain't either, but Boots is bigger. And at some point, size matters. Yeah, after a while, if a guy's that much bigger than you are,
it matters.
I didn't believe it at first, that Teofimo was really targeting a fight with Boots Ennis. But once Turkey got involved, and he made that his plan, that changes everything because he's the guy with the money, he's footing the bill, and he don't dick around. This is exactly the kind of fight that he likes to put on. It's Turkey's plan now to put Teo in the ring with Boots.
I almost don't believe it. That Teo wants to do this?
Guy who got dropped 2 times by Sandor Martin, who doesn't even punch that hard, by the way, just struggled with Steve Claggett.
Claggett!
He's gonna go fight Boots? Well, if he's gonna do it and Turkey's gonna put it on, I'm gonna watch it. If he can make it that far.
Claggett!
It's gonna get him paid. I suppose there's that to consider, that he stands to make more money now in these 2 fights than he's ever made from any other fight he's had before that.
Money is the great motivator.
He'll have plenty of it to pay for his hospital bills after Boots gets his hands on him, if he does make it that far, and this fight happens. Yeah, I think Boots beats Teofimo. I don't think that's a hot take.
Claggett!
Teofimo did say that he told Top Rank he would prefer to unify with Richardson Hitchins than go fight Subriel Matias. I guess he meant business, because that's what they're supposed to be working on.
See if they make it.
In men's junior middleweight news, ready! Sergey Bohachuk feels most deserving of lending Sebastian Fundora title shot. 10 months ago, Sebastian Fundora and Sergey Bohachuk were a few days away from fighting each other when a twist of fate intervened. Bohachuk is about to find out if that twist requires the adjective cruel, because now that Fundora's planned March 29th junior middleweight title defense against former 3-belt champion Errol Spence Jr. has fallen through, Fundora needs a replacement opponent. And who makes more sense than Bohachuk? In the week before the WBO junior middleweight champion Tim Kazoo was due to defend his belt against former welterweight champion Keith Thurman, a training camp injury forced Thurman off the card, and Fundora was pulled off his scheduled undercard bout on the card to fight for both the WBO and WBC titles. Bohachuk did not have to step aside because we had a contract, yet we did, and allowed Fundora to fight Tim Kazoo. Bohachuk trainer Manny Robles reminded Friday in an interview with Boxing Scene, the rest was history, as Fundora accidentally gashed Zoo atop the head, and we all know what happened.
Listen, I think they pulled a fast one on Tim Zoo that night. I don't think Keith Thurman was ever actually going to fight him.
It was all a ruse, Tim Zoo none the wiser that at the very last minute they would swap out Keith with Sebastian. And if Keith was never going to really fight Tim, Sebastian was never going to really fight Sergey. Sergey Bohachuk took consolation by posting a unanimous decision triumph over the man who was coming off a knockout victory over Fundora and Brian Mendoza. And as Fundora turned his attention to Spence, Bohachuk raised his hands for 2 wars, one that materialized against Virgil Ortiz and another that vanished against former WBA champion Israel Madrimov. He ended up fighting Ishmael Davis instead, knocked him out. When asked if Bohachuk was first in line for Fundora, a Fundora representative on Thursday said he didn't believe Bohachuk was ready following his bout just more than 3 weeks ago. "We'll be ready," Robles clarified. "As soon as I received the news that Errol wouldn't be fighting, I went straight into my calendar and started counting the days. Sergey can be in the gym Monday, and that gives us 10 weeks to prepare. That's more than enough time." Bohachuk took a little vacation after December 21st. Monday would be perfect. Bohachuk promoter Tom Loeffler also immediately lobbied a call to the PBC representatives expressing Bohachuk's interest in the Fundora fight that evaded him last year.
This is Zeke from Supreme Boxing. Look who we have here, Sergey Bohachuk. How are you doing today, bro?
I'm feeling great. Look, Sebastian, Fundora, you don't have opponent now. I'm ready. Let's go. I'm ready for a fight with you. Let's go.
Let's go. I mean, it's pretty clear what's been happening these past few days about, first of all, Spence fell off for today. I'm not sure what reason. And I guess Joe Spencer also fell off, if I'm not mistaken. But here you go, man. I mean, let them know.
Sebastian, let's go. We can show fans very great fight. You know, I can show with you very interesting fight for all fans. Let's go to fight. Let's go fight.
What venue? Where would you like to fight him?
Here in Los Angeles.
Oh, crypto maybe?
Maybe crypto, maybe Los Angeles, maybe Las Vegas. Los Angeles or Vegas.
Los Angeles or Vegas?
Or Vegas, yeah.
Does it? I mean, you just want to fight as all you want to face it anywhere, anytime, right?
Anywhere, anytime. Let's go.
All right, thank you.
Sergey Bohachuk would be well-suited for Fundora. He fought a WBC title eliminator in his last fight, is rated number 2 by the WBC behind Spence, who shouldn't even be there. If there's any way to make that fight happen, that'd be great. We have a lot of respect for Fundora, and that'd be a tremendous fight. Loeffler had Bohachuk fighting for the WBC interim belt against Mendoza, but he said there was no written agreement in place for Fundora to immediately turn back to fight Bohachuk if he became champion, which he did. The natural path is for them to fight, and I think when you consider what Sergey did in the past year, that would be a great fight, Loeffler said. With March 29th now shifting from a pay-per-view to a non-pay-per-view on Amazon Video, expected to land at the MGM Grand in Vegas, Fundora's reps have discussed PBC fighter Joey Spencer, and they could also opt to keep both belts on the line against WBO's number 5 ranked 154-pound Chordale Booker, another PBC fighter who has a fight on schedule.
For February 15th, I believe it is?
You can't force people to do certain things. We'll take the opportunities as they come, Loeffler said. Sergey's one of those guys who will fight anyone. We'll always look for the most exciting fights for him. And he is exciting. A fight between him and Sebastian would be a barn burner.
Though likely riskier than Sebastian's people would like.
It's boxing, you know how it is. They can tell you one thing today and another thing tomorrow, Robles said. People can make promises, but if it's not on paper, there can be a change of heart and you don't need to keep a promise. I'm not saying this will be the case with Fundora and his promoter Samson Lukowicz, who I have the utmost respect for, but we've seen it happen in different occasions. I know Tom is on it, and I've told him we have more than enough time for Sergey to be ready for the fight. He's injury-free, ready to go.
And he, unlike Joey Spencer, is rated by both the WBC and the WBO, so they would let him do it.
He's a permissible opponent, though I don't expect it to happen. Now, Sergey Bohachuk to Sebastian, after 9 or 10 months of inactivity, is a high-risk, low-reward. There's not much in it for Sebastian, involuntarily giving him that opportunity.
I'm not against the fight, I'm just saying don't hold your breath. I don't think it happens.